Hey everyone, welcome to Otaku Talk. It's me, your boy, your host, OD, and today we'll be reviewing and analyzing chapter 1046 of One Piece. This is a really chill chapter. I think Oda is trying to bring us back into, it's one of those things like a roller coaster when, you know, you had the down, now we gotta build it back up so that we can get another, nice high pace, feeling, a nice high pace climax, right? So he's kind of resetting the stage for some new things, and I'm here for it. If you haven't been to my channel before, or you just haven't done so already, I would greatly appreciate it. It would mean the world to me if you could just, drop your boy a like, a subscribe, a share. Would mean the absolute world to me. Also, I have a video that meant a lot to me. I debuted it, I believe, this Monday or Tuesday. The title is called "Is Oda a Hack?" And it's an exploration into the division that the last two chapters have kind of sown into the One Piece community. We have a lot of people that are very happy and excited about Gear 5th and the reveal of, the Gamu Gamu no Mi actually being the Hito Hito no Mi model Nika. It's a mythical Zoan. And some people took that in stride. Some people had some pushback. And so basically the video addresses some of the issues that not only that reveal had, but some of the implications and ramifications of other things and other information given in those chapters. So I would greatly appreciate it just if you would go check that out, give it a look, comment, debate with me, argue with me if you disagree. But yeah, without much further ado, let's get into this review. Alright, chapter 1046 of One Piece, titled Raizo. So, I love these. I had to do it. The chapter card, right? The title card. We are back at Whole Cake Island, and we just see everyone in the panel fleeing, except for one dude. And I wish I was on my teching shit where I could just know who every character is. I remember my last review. It was I think it was my second to last review where they were doing a bunch of experimentations on the Germa brothers, and I was like, oh, it looks like there's some new characters here. And then I watched after my review, Tekking's review, and Tekking was like, oh, that's so-and-so, so-and-so, and so-and-so. And I was like, are you shitting me? but yeah, all those were known characters. So I'm wondering if this is also a known character as well or not. But there's one person not fleeing. He's holding his ground. I'm very curious as to who that is. But we have these two mysterious figures. We can't see anything but their shadow. And I am extremely curious as to who they are. We know that Yanji and Niji are the ones that were captured. So I believe that maybe this is just Raizo and Ichiji back to rescue them. The reason I think it's them is because honestly, there's not a lot of clues you can really get from this. However, one, it was the capes, which originally made me think these were like admirals or something, or like the Marines. But I don't know why the Marines would be here in particular. Maybe they know that this is a weak time for Big Mom, which I'm going to get into later. But I mainly think that this is either Raizo and Ichiji, right? And they're here to rescue their siblings. And the reason, once again, is because of the capes, and also the one on the, I know the one on the left is definitely a female, just because it seemed like she was wearing some, like, what are those called? Heel wedges? I don't know what women's fashion is. I think she was wearing some high heel wedges. I don't know. And then the other one was wearing regular shoes. Now, another theory I had was it could be Blackbeard. There was a lot of speculation that Blackbeard might be heading to Big Mom's island. He said now is the time to move. Maybe he knows that she's gone, that it's at its weakest. I was gonna say Katakuri's still recovering, but I doubt it. If like Luffy is back up and like fighting a Yonko, then like Katakuri is good. But is Katakuri going to be able to, best whatever forces that Blackbeard might have sent? So I don't know. So anyway, as it stands right now, I got the Germ 66 siblings. We got Blackbeard captains, and then after that possibly the Marines, who knows. Anyway, we start off this chapter where we left off last chapter, and Luffy's like, I wonder what I should name that move. Gumu Gumu something. And I'm dying for two reasons. One, because at the time when he did do that move, I was saying it was very similar to Gum Gum UFO, and I was surprised he didn't like say a variation or a derivation of that. So I love that it's being addressed that we never got the name of that move in particular. I also like the fact that I feel like Oda is messing with us and playing with us in regards to the fact that like the attack names are still Gumu Gumu, and so like Luffy has no clue what's going on, has no clue that his fruit is not what it is, that like he is like the reincarnation of Joy Boy or any of this is going on. He has no clue. And so I love how Oda is kind of messing with us, the audience, about that. And then Oda continues to do it, literally continues to do it when Kaido is like, who are you?
Wait a minute, who are you?
And I love the fact that without missing a beat, Luffy is just like, I'm Monkey D motherfucking Luffy, the ones that's gonna become the Pirate King. And I love once again, I know I'm just saying I love, but I do. Oda's a great writer. I love what Kaido is like, Kaido says, because it feels like he's talking, for the fans, where he's like, I'm glad you still have that big mouth of yours. I'm so glad that you are who you are. By the way, big mouth of yours, pause. But anyway, I'm glad you are, you're still who you are. And I feel like the fandom, after the first like reveal in 1044 of, Luffy smiling and dripping, and then finding out in 1045 that like, oh, it's still Luffy, right? No, 1043 I think is when we found out it's dripping, and then 1044 I think is when we first get, Gear 5th. Yeah. So when we read 1044 and we see, okay, this is still Luffy. This is still the Luffy we know. He hasn't been, possessed in any way, shape, or form. That was a theory popular in the community. I personally thought it was. I thought we were gonna have a moment where he's temporarily possessed. We're gonna get some exposition, and then Luffy's like, give me my body back. We didn't get that, so this is very interesting. We still haven't really gotten any real explanation as to why, Luffy's aura, voice if you will, voice of all things, anyway, was disappearing and has been replaced by, that of Joy Boys. Obviously this is Oda we're talking about. He's gonna get into it later. I'm just so impatient at this like moment, and I feel like that's how a lot of fans feel. I feel like when it comes to Oda, when it comes to One Piece in general, it's been a story of delayed gratification. Normally, a lot of times, Oda introduces a lot of these questions and mysteries very early on in the series, some of which don't get addressed for hundreds of chapters, right? And I think we're just, now that we're realizing that we're in the end game, we're all just kind of like, give us the goddamn answers. And we're kind of getting just impatient. So sit tight, guys. We're getting there. So we have some words from Zunisha, who's basically like, yo, what is this like sound I'm hearing? It's exhilarating. It feels like the past. Like maybe I can trust this kid. So even Zunisha, even though he was a companion, or she, I think. Zunisha's a she, correct? Anyway, even though she was a companion of Joy Boy, even she doesn't really quite understand everything that's happening right now. And I kind of like that. I was kind of expecting Zunisha to be an agent of exposition as well. You guys know, if you guys follow this channel, I'm a huge proponent of exposition. I know a lot of people are very see, don't tell, but no, tell me. Fucking tell me. Tell me. I eat that shit up. But anyway, Kaido talks more about awakenings and talks about how it's the culmination of your mind and body being able to completely use your abilities. So I'm wondering if he's going to say more about that later. Also, I'm really confused as to why we haven't seen Kaido's awakening. Everyone has been talking about, oh, now that Luffy is awakened, it's time for Kaido. Kaido's going to beat Luffy. Luffy is still going to lose. Kaido still hasn't pulled out his awakening. He still hasn't pulled out his backstory, right? These are things that we need before he loses. And I said this in my Is Oda a Hack video, and I'm going to say it again here. I would not be surprised if Kaido was awakened, right? Originally, he has the ushi or umi fruit, whatever, the fish fruit, right? And so I thought it would be kind of funny, kind of cool if when he first got it, it was kind of trash. It was kind of like the Pokemon Magikarp, and then once it awakened, he got these new forms, right? That would be cool. But I think it's more so along the lines of once he awakened, his dragon form was able to do way more than before. I think, you know, once it awakened, he was able to do all these Boro breaths, these wind blasts, these lightning things, control the weather and stuff like that. I think those are the abilities he got with his awakening, and initially he just could turn into like a dragon, and he was super strong and possibly could, you know, walk on fire. Maybe he had the flame clouds. So we don't know. We're gonna get some more exposition on that later. Anyway, Kaido does his version of, I like to call it his version of, you know, Gumu Gumu no Gatling with the meteor shower thing, and you just see it hitting every part of Luffy. This was so interesting to like read. I tilted my laptop a little bit to see the angles and stuff of like where exactly Luffy's body was and where he's getting hit, and you see everywhere he's getting hit is just getting like transformed, morphed into like, you know, the shape of the kanabo because it's rubber, and it's so malleable, and it's taking the shape of like what's hitting him. And then right after that, Luffy returns with his own barrage of blows. Low-key was really hoping it was going to be a Gatling, but it just seems to be just regular attacks. Luffy hasn't been really saying Gumu Gumu a lot with some of these moves, so I'm curious as to the reason for that. Something I'm gonna be firm on this here. I am not a fan of the turning opponents into rubber physics mechanics. Aesthetically, it bothers me. Some people might think it's cool, and by the way, I don't think this is a positive or negative for the story as a whole. This is purely a personal opinion. I'm just not a fan of, you know, these hits also turning Kaido into rubber, and then seeing like Kaido just like kind of, you know like these orbs being like coming out his back and stuff. Like, I don't know, it just bothers me because it feels like by him being rubber himself, it's dampening the blows and kind of, you know, acting as a double-edged sword to Luffy. I'm sure that's not what it is, but for me, like as a reader, like witnessing it, reading it, that's what it kind of comes across to as me. Like, oh, he's rubber, so like, you know, he's gonna have the durability that like Luffy has always fortunately had. Once again though, I do want to remind you, Luffy is coded right now. Gear 5 is coded in Conquerors and Armament Haki, so regardless, you know, he's still taking damage, but there's just something really weird about the properties being passed on to like the enemies he's attacking. I really didn't like, you know, him being able to reach out of Kaido's eyes last chapter. That bothered me a lot, and Kaido being able to maintain his eyesight. And then the one thing that kind of really took me over the edge was, you know, Luffy punching a good at least like a good couple feet like through Kaido's head, and I'm just like, rubber or not, like that has to be doing significant damage. But anyway, I had to get that off my back. Not the biggest concern, honestly. I'm still loving these fights. I'm still loving Gear 5. I'm still loving the abilities. That's just one little caveat, one little quirk I have. Anyway, after these exchange of blows, Luffy starts coughing. He starts wheezing. He's inhaling fume smoke because of all of, you know, Onigashima ablaze right now, right? And, you know, Kaido comments on the fact that if like so much of like these fumes were able to reach here, then like the entire castle has to be completely torched right now. And I think he's trying to, you know, distract Luffy, you know, dampen Luffy's will. And he's like, yo, you have like hundreds, thousands of your men down there right now, but Luffy doesn't miss a beat. And I love that he brought this up, and he's like, I left that to them. And he's talking about his crew, he's talking about the scabbards, he's talking about the alliance. He said, I left all that to them. All I have to focus on is knocking you out. That's all I have to worry about. As far as like that stuff, my squad's got it. I have faith and trust in them to take care of it, just like they have faith and trust in me to take care of you. So that was honestly a really cool moment. I really enjoyed that. They proceed to fight. Luffy does this really cool move after Kaido used this devastating gust attack on him, where he just pulls his pants up and zoots up. Like, honestly, that was super cool. I really like that. And then after that, what do we have after that? After that, we go back to Onigashima, completely ablaze. Everyone is losing their mind. We see Nami and Chopper reuniting. We see Appu and Ibi. Ibi is burning his hand, trying to get out. The flames are too hot for him. We see the Heart Pirates. Beppo is not doing so well. He's fainted. He needs his crew to carry him out. Everyone's begging for the captains to save them. Things are looking drastic. Things are not looking good at all, and they're trying to escape. And that's when we see the title chapter hero Raizo, and he is with our homie Jinbei, and they do a variation of what I've wanted to happen this entire time. I'm finally happy that, you know, the whole of Onigashima burning is finally being addressed, because like for the last several reviews I've been like, when are we going to deal with this fire? When are we going to deal with this fire? When are we going to deal with this fire? And it seems like we're dealing with it now. And so Raizo did what I thought was going to happen, and I thought this whole time Zunisha was just going to, you know, take his trunk, put it in the ocean, come over top, and just douse Onigashima. I thought the only issue with that would be the fact that, okay, that still leaves Onigashima above the capital. But I thought, okay, after he does that, he can just grab Onigashima. I keep saying he. She could just grab Onigashima, put it down, either just wrap the trunk around all of Onigashima, or I said that there was a little hole that was created because of the bombs, kids railgun, and Law's puncture wille, right? And so I thought maybe like she could just put Onigashima through her trunk or whatever. But no, it turns out that at some point Raizo, when he first witnessed Zunisha doing her bath, he opened up his scroll and took a lot of that water, and now he's releasing it in this moment. And now we're using Jinbei, who's a fishman, to use fishman karate to divert the flow of the water to the rest of the floors. So that's awesome teamwork on their end. That was really cool to see. I'm still wondering why Zunisha still couldn't have doused it, but I digress. It's fine. Also, I think now instead of Zunisha using the hole that's gone through Onigashima to hold Onigashima up, I think what's going to happen is it's just going to act as a nice little funnel for all the rest of the people on here who are stuck to funnel out. So all the water is going to drain out the bottom, and I think it's going to carry all the pirates and ally members and enemies are all going to get washed up in this water and are going to get like shot down. Now I wonder how they're going to survive the fall. Maybe Jinbei, that's going to be Jinbei again, able to like use like do things with the water to soften their landing, turn the water into a slide. Who knows? But I'm very curious to see how this gets resolved. Now, because they are completely taking out all the fires, there's a big concern with Onigashima, you know, still looming above the flower capital. And so Yamato basically tells Momonosuke, hey, like, this was always the plan. You were always going to need to make your own flame clouds. Like, I know we've been skirting around it. We've been ignoring the elephant in the room. But, you know, now is actually the time to, you know, pull it out. You gotta do it. And I kind of love how she's kind of being like Luffy about it, but not as like hyper, but she's like, figure it out, do it. And Momo's just freaking out like, what? Because I feel like Momo completely just discarded the idea of making his own flame clouds and using Kaido's. And now that he's in a situation where, we're back to the original plan that like I kind of was trying to forego in the first place. What am I gonna do? But yeah, during this whole part, we see pretty much where everyone is who was on Onigashima. We see what floors they're on, what attempts they're making to quell the fire. We even see Usopp fire a what are those things called? One of his pop greens, and it's a sprinkler, but immediately gets torched. So you know that the extent of the heat going on right now is massive. Like, who else do we see in this? We see so many other characters, but honestly I don't want to really stay on this part. We see Frankie with Zoro, we see Killer with the rest of them. They're all being saved. Also, fun fact, I want to go back to Raizo real quick. I love how this is kind of a redemption, I don't want to say redemption, but a returning of favors, if you will, after being saved by the Minx. He's somewhat, returning the favor by saving the Minx and the samurai. So that's a cool little callback, right? But yeah, this chapter ends in one of the most spectacular Oda fashions, and we have Luffy, and literally clear as day, in his right hand we see him grasping lightning, like he's about to go on some Gumu Gumu no Zeus shit and throw that shit at Kaido, and I am here for it. I'm excited to see what happens. Can Luffy grab lightning? Is that a part of his ability now? Like, he believes he can do it, so therefore he can just do it. I just almost can imagine NL just freaking out and having that face again, which, by the way, can't wait to see him again. I remember the first time I ever saw Luffy do anything with lightning, he did Gumu Gumu no Gigante Thor, was it? Or Thor Stomp, something where I think his foot was coated in lightning and stuff like that. So it's kind of cool to see like filler kind of things becoming canon. A lot of people have been mentioning that, by the way. A lot of things that were filler are now slowly becoming canon now. So that's really cool to see. So Luffy says Onigashima is about to fall. So once again, we have no clue what that means. Maybe, but Luffy's in the middle of the fight. So I think part of what was happening earlier with the whole conversation between, I trust them, they're doing that so I can focus on fighting you. Originally I thought maybe, you know, Luffy could just turn the Flower Capital or the underground underneath Onigashima into rubber, so when it crashes they bounce up. Maybe he can turn Onigashima into rubber so when it hits them it bounces off. But it really does seem like he is too engaged in this fight to be doing that kind of thing. So I'm very curious what's going to happen next chapter. Anyway, Oda didn't answer a lot of questions this chapter, but he didn't really pose any more. So that was really nice. I really do think this was kind of a chapter to set up a climate. Well, I think the next chapter is going to wind down too. I don't think the next one's going to build back up either. I think we're going to get 2 chapters in a row. And I think there's a break this one where we kind of just seeing where everyone is, seeing the plan, seeing Onigashima, you know, the flames being quelled, and, you know, hopefully Momo can, you know, create flame clouds. And then I think we're going to ramp up once again for another huge climax, whether that's Kaido's awakening, maybe his flashback, maybe he's been holding back, who knows. But this was a very chill chapter. I think we needed a kind of breath chapter after the back-to-back amazing chapters we got. Not to say that this one isn't amazing, just we're taking a step back. I think we're taking a clear step back to either change directions or for something different to happen to surprise us. Anyway, this has been Otaku Talk. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. And yeah, I'm your host, OD. Peace. Take care. Have a great weekend.